Hi everyone, and here we are again at the Apex Racing League Club and Series for Series 8. We're at the high speed ring this time, which is interesting because I've not raced here before, and I've qualified in third, which is very unusual, and clearly there'll be some fast guys behind me. So we come down to the line, and I had trouble with my PS5 before we started, and I haven't reset my wheel and pedals, and by the time I get all that working, I've gone from third to almost last. So I'm down in 13th out of 16 cars before we get to the first turn. So a little annoyed with myself, bit of a rookie mistake, but we'll learn for that one. And so I'm pretty serious about trying to pick up some pace here, and I've got decent speed at this track. I've done a lot of laps in practice and followed some of the fast guys, and so I push on pretty hard in the first lap and already up to 10th place by the time I get to the S's, and I really want to get back towards that middle pack if I can. Got Yowie right behind me, and he's going to take the inside line here into the last corner, but I just managed to hold him off on the outside, which is surprising. And the slipstream's really strong on the straight, so you want to stay in slipstream wherever you can. So I'm here behind Pete and running back down the end of the first lap. I've picked up a few places around this really fast left-hander and down towards the bridge and the S's again, and I've managed to push really hard down through this section, and I've managed to get to 7th in that short little stretch there by being a bit more aggressive on the first couple of laps than what's normally recommended. Throw it up high on the banking out of the S's there, not really bank, but throw it up high on the outside line, and of course up in the top right hand corner you'll see the two front runners, Azza and Lakey, leading the pack, and that will be a theme we'll see for the remainder of this race. So I'm now up into 7th, trying to get it in as tight as I can on the slipstream here, staying up high in turn 1, swinging down to the apex, which seemed to be the fast line, and then out again. Everyone seemed to be using that line, so that was the answer. I had come to the conclusion to stay on. So the fast guys behind me who'd had trouble with qualifying are now they're catching, and I expect they will run through fairly quickly, and once they get into this slipstream, they'll be down through and past us, and that's to be expected. I'm happy with that. We will follow them wherever we can. They are a couple of the quick boys are really good in the slow speed corners, which is always my nemesis. I always manage to lose most of my time, I think, there, which obviously is a technique thing I need to learn. So Rooster's tucked in behind me. I think he'll get through here on the inside, just keeping me off that drop down to the apex, but that's fine. Now tuck in right hard behind him and try and stay there, and watch with Yowie coming behind me in a very fast AMG. So we'll run like this for the first half a dozen laps, and I'll drop back down to about where I would expect it to have qualified, actually, as these faster drivers get through and pass me. So naturally your speed on the straight will be all determined by this final fast left-hand corner, and you've got to make sure you stay off the fence because there's penalties to be had. And I pick up a multiple slipstream here and stick the nose down the inside and pick a couple of places back up, which really quite surprised me that that low line would work. So swinging up and back into fifth, which I was pretty happy about this stage. Certainly was not something that I was expecting at all, but a good piece to learn, and I'll take that every day of the week. Okay, well, we jump forward a few laps, speed this up, and I'm still running fifth, and I've got one of the fast guys in the lobby catching me from behind in that grey silver car tank from North Queensland. Has really been a quick driver for season 8, and he's right here on my tail, and we'll be through fairly quickly. But I'm really happy to be this far up the field. Something about this track must have suited my driving that night. Brendan spins in front of us and we go either side of him, which slows down Tank's progress a little, but he sneaks past me here in the tunnel, and I'm determined to stick with him as long as I can and see if I can learn from him the fast lines along here. I touched the wall there, ominous foreboding. It slides the rear end, but I catch it in time, lose a bit of pace, and that allows Yowie through. And still okay, I'm still happy enough running there with about midfield with a few of the fast drivers still behind me. I was still doing pretty okay, I think. So we'll start to skip forward here again. You'll see in the top right hand corner the standard program is still running, as are out in front with Loki on his heels. So we've skipped forward a few laps, and we're still running in sixth. Fair gap to the car behind me, and I'm starting to lose touch with the guy ahead. More of the same, starting to darken off and all the lights are on. Down over the bridge and into this tricky S's section with Tank just up the road ahead of me. I'm still holding sight of him as we run through and under the tunnel one more time. We're starting to come up to towards half race distance. It'll be soon time to get into the pits and get some new tyres and top up the fuel for the second half of the race. I'm keeping an eye on to see if anyone else is pitting at this stage, but they all pass through down the main straight again. Nobody tempted to go for that early undercut. And I can see the cars up ahead, which is always nice and encouraging me to work and concentrate. I find I start to lose concentration in the second half of the races, and that has always been my problem since I started on this hobby. So I've got to work hard to focus, and I keep telling myself, stop thinking about anything else and just concentrate on the next corner. Up in the top right hand corner, Lakey's right in behind Azza again. Want to work hard to try and get past, but he has to tuck back in behind, and he's very close. We're up to fifth, so someone must have gone into the pits. There's Jimmy over on the grass, letting the cars through. Good on you, Jimmy. Well done, mate. It's getting quicker by the week, so there'll be less and less of that as he progresses his journey with the league. But well appreciated. So I dive in, decide it's time for the pits, and Az is in as well. So the guy that's leading the race is in the pits and on the same lap as I decide to pit. So that's a good sign that my strategy is pretty well lined up with the fast guys. We put on some new tyres, add a little bit of fuel, and we're out of there. So we come out onto the track in position 9, but knowing full well that the cars that have passed me are yet to pit. Okay, so there's about half a dozen laps to go here. I've jumped forward again, and I'm right up close now to the guys in 4th and 5th. Out in front, up on the top, is still Azza, and there's only been a couple of instances where Lakey's managed to get in front, as it looks like he might have it sewn up at this stage. At this point, I do what I said I shouldn't have, and that is lose concentration. I touch the outside wall, which spins me down the track, and to rub salt into the wound, I get a 1.5 second penalty for touching the wall, which seems a little extreme given the fact that I'd lost all that time. But anyway, it is what it is. And of course, with this comes the loss of places, and really a lot of disappointment after 30 plus laps of really working hard to stay in the mid-pack. So we'll have a 1.5 second penalty here in a second, and this will allow all of these cars that I was holding behind me to run away. And I think those cars in front of me might have been running short on tyres or fuel, and I was working hard to see if I could get to them before the end of the race, and unfortunately just touched the wall and paid a big price for that very small mistake. So I pulled over to the left, served my penalty just in case there's any cars behind me, and that puts me well and truly in 9th place with very few laps left to try and make up the time lost. So hustling, I should say, along here, trying to get back in touch with the mid-runners, and Sideshow's up the road there about half a length of the straightaway from me. People behind me are a fair way back. I should be able to maintain this position, but certainly gave away at least a top 6 or 7 in this race, which would have been about my best finish for the season so far if I could have got into 6th place, which I believe I could have done, but we'll never know. So we're coming down towards the finish of the race here now. Again, Azza and Lakey battling hard right to the end, and that BMW just really fast everywhere by the looks of it. Lakey can get to him under brakes, but getting past him just was a bridge too far by the looks of it. The two yellow cars going at it for the whole of the 39 odd laps. So we're running down here now towards the end of the race. Pretty lonely. No slipstream to help me out. Cars ahead are well and truly up the road. All I could do is just work hard to try and maintain my pace and hope that perhaps someone up the road runs out of tyres or fuel or some such to give me a few more points on another position. But that's pretty much wishful thinking, and you would need someone to be very unlucky for you to be lucky enough to gain that. Again, I pushing, you can see how hard I'm pushing. I'm right up against the fence. It gave me the trouble. So throwing caution to the wind on that lap, trying to pick up some time, but there's just not enough. There's not enough laps left at this stage, and as we come towards the end of the race, the guys in first and second are just maintaining their pace, maintaining the order, and racing really cleanly. There's been no mad sends, no bumping of doors or any of that I could see whilst watching the replay there. Like, you're really trying hard on this lap. He's tucked right up under the bumper of the BM, and it looks like Az is just right on the limit there, coming up to the bridge. Got a really nice line through the S's, smooth, and like he might have just touched him there. Would have been much in it if he did. Not enough to unsettle the Beamer anyway. Meantime, I'm just chortling along, churning these laps out, doing good pace. At this end of the race, the tyres would be starting to complain a little. I did put plenty of fuel in at the stop, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I think 19 laps on the softs was probably pretty close to my limit in the Porsche. I wouldn't have had much in the way of tyres left at the end, I don't think. Out of the loop one more time. And I guess the positive in all of that was I was reasonably okay until I spun, and I don't believe that I got lapped, which is possibly the first race of this season where I didn't get lapped by the faster guys. So here we are, race is over. I finish in 9th place. As it gets the win with Lakey in second, and a good race was had by all except for yours truly, who spun the car with about 5 laps left to go. Anyway, next week, Deep Forest, we'll go again and see how we go with trying to stay in the middle of the pack. Thanks for watching. See you on the track.